Good morning, everyone. How are we doing?
Thanks for doing this, Jacob.
Good that you can hear me. That's good. Sound check complete. So in the chat, I've kind of linked the document that we'll kind of walk through in this workshop. So you can kind of follow along there because there might be a little bit of code involved, and you can also kind of refer to that later as well. So let me just share my screen and we can get started. Feel free to interrupt with any questions, ask whatever you want. Definitely got enough people that we can just, I guess, do this a little bit ad hoc and do it a bit, conversational. So let me just share my screen 1 second. All right, can you all see that?
Nothing yet, just says that you are sharing a screen. It's just a black screen right now, though.
Got it. How about now?
Perfect.
All right. So for those who aren't yet familiar with 0x and what we do, so 0x is a protocol or a set of smart contracts that really allows anyone to trade with anyone with absolutely no middleman involved. So there's no signups, there's no trading desks. You can simply trade peer-to-peer with your friends or with someone on the other side of the world. And kind of what we're going to go through today is what we call LaunchKit. And LaunchKit allows you to get a marketplace or exchange up and running in minutes. And it is comprised of like a back end and a front end service. So we'll kind of go into detail, but I think first, it's best to just really take a look at what it is and what it can kind of do. So if you can see my screen now, you can see our launch kit for a ERC-721 marketplace. So let me just give you guys the link because you should be able to interact with this as well. 1 second. I've lost my Zoom. Anyway, it's marketplace.j.ex.0x.org. So if you type that into your browser, you should be able to pull that up. Now, this has been configured to run with Cheeze wizards. So as you can see, there's a Cheeze wizard being listed here. You can click it. You can buy it for 10 ETH, pretty expensive Cheeze wizard. But if you want to buy it, go ahead. 0x works by having a list of orders stored in the database. And these orders are created and transferred around off-chain. So when you want to create an order for a Cheeze wizard, you don't have to go on-chain and spend some money to put it on there. It all happens off-chain. The only on-chain operation is when somebody actually wants to fill the order. So let me just go to my other browser where I actually have some Cheeze wizards. 1 second. That's the link to the marketplace if you'd like to take a look. So in this browser, I actually have some Cheeze wizards. So we can go through the process of basically listing a Cheeze wizard for sale. Now, I actually want to kind of keep this Cheeze wizard. So I'm going to put it up for, quite an expensive sale price. I'll set the expiration to be 1 day. And in MetaMask, I'll get a signature request to sign the 0x order. And still, I haven't done anything on chain yet. That'll be signed and then submitted to LaunchKit and verified. And we'll assume that worked. So after this, you'll have your Cheeze Wizard available to be purchased on the collectibles website. So now let me take you through a bit of an example of how to get this up and running. If you go to our GitHub, and all of these links are in the document shared earlier. So we have this launch kit wizard, which can get everything up and running within just a couple of minutes by using Docker containers. So to get that started, you can just grab this command, the npx launch kit wizard, and I'll have to just change my screen sharing again. If you type that into your terminal, it'll download the package, to install some of the dependencies, but eventually you'll get to a window where it'll prompt you for some information. So in this wizard, we can actually set up a ERC20 exchange or an ERC721 exchange. So we're going to set up the ERC721. We're going to target mainnet. Just need to move this window out of the way. We have to enter a Ethereum RPC URL. So we have one here prepared earlier. If you don't have one, you can use Infura. We'll use the default settings there. And now we have to enter the address of the collectible, which is going to be our Cheeze Wizard. So I'll just bring that quickly up because I don't remember that off the top of my head. Enter the name for the NFT being sold, Cheeze Wizards. Lactose-free Cheeze Wizards. And now LaunchKit also has the ability for fees to be paid to the LaunchKit instance. So you can enter your fee recipient address here. And you can choose whether you want this to be a light or a dark theme. And now just to finish the process, you run Docker Compose up and it'll download the containers, spin them up with configuration file. And the configuration file itself is just this Docker Compose. So if anyone's not familiar with Docker Compose, it just is the config file of how you run your containers, as well as like the environment setup, get them all running. So we have 3 containers here. The first one is the front-end container, second one is the back-end container, and the third one is just the Nginx container. So the back-end is like the database and where all the orders are stored. The front-end container actually just builds a production optimized front end and gives it to the Nginx container for better production delivery. So at the end of this, you'll just run Docker Compose up and it'll pull in the containers and get everything up and running and started. So this will take a couple of minutes and it'll just download some files. That was actually quicker than I expected. So then it'll start the containers up here. And the front end will take a couple of minutes to build. We can follow along with the Docker logs tail and follow the command of the logs. So that'll take a couple of minutes. But at the end of the day, you will have a marketplace that looks like the following. Now, one super interesting thing that we've been working on with at 0x is the ability to share orders around. So if my marketplace has an order, it will automatically appear on all the other marketplaces that are built on 0x. So to kind of give a demonstration of that, I'll just pull up one backend that we have. One second. And I have one of those Apple keyboards where it double presses keys, so it makes life pretty difficult. So this is the back end for the launch kit that is running here. And this is the query to show that, I'll actually open it up in this other window so it renders a bit nicer for you. And this is the order that is backing that Cheeze wizard that's for sale. So this Cheeze wizard is represented by this order. Now, the backend that I've been running for this demonstration purpose is using our new product called 0x Mesh, which is a peer-to-peer network of sharing orders between different relayers or different marketplaces. So a completely unrelated backend running over here has discovered the same order that I created earlier. So it didn't have to do anything. No one had to pull anything. It was all automatic. And all these orders are being shared and discovered together. So you can kind of see there's actually a little bit of a difference in these orders. No, they're the same. So it's cool. So that enables all these launch kits to be connected with each other. So as soon as a single order is created on one marketplace, it appears on all marketplace. And you can, the originator of the order on the marketplace is the one that actually gets the fees. So even though the order didn't originate on my website, it's still being displayed everywhere. So as soon as somebody fills it, you get the fees. Now, it's probably worth going through what a 0x order looks like and how 0x kind of works in the background. So if anyone has any questions at this point, just feel free to interrupt and ask, but we can start to go through, how 0x works and what makes up a 0x order and stuff like that. So you might be familiar with approvals on ERC20 or the is approved for all on ERC 721. This gives the ability for a third party or like a third party contract to move tokens on your behalf. And that is basically what powers 0x. You grant 0x the ability to move your tokens, and given our set of logic and set of rules, we will be able to move your tokens when that logic is valid and the state is correct. So as a maker, I'm selling my Cheeze wizard. I create an order and I sign it. And that is my proof that I want to sell this token for some price. So here, it's a lot of ABI encoded data and a lot of hex encoded data, but my maker address, that's me, and I'm selling a Cheeze wizard, which is encoded here, and I'm accepting Ethereum wrapped ETH for it. And the amount I'm wanting here is 10 ETH, but that's in Way. And I'm selling one Cheeze wizard token. So that's basically what a 0x order is. It's just talking about the terms in which I want to sell this asset. And then I sign the order itself to prove that, yes, I actually want to execute this trade when there's another counterparty found. So that's like a quick and brief introduction to how 0x orders work. I will just quickly also show you in the doc linked earlier, like this is how you would create an order with some code. And this is how you would sign the order with some code as well using our tools. Now, next you want to get that order to a relayer. So you simply use the standard relayer API, which is what we ask relayers to implement, which is what LaunchKit implements, which we saw before. This is the SRA API. And that allows people to post orders and pull orders from all other relayers in a generic and like a spec'd out way. There's a standard specification in how to do this. So you would just get the order that was created here and post it to the relayer. And once verified, it would be listed on that marketplace or relayer. Now, 0x can be used in many ways. We have many different features that we've been working on over time. And one important thing for NFT space and marketplaces is the ability to create bundles of tokens. So this means I can sell my Cheeze Wizard and my CryptoKitty together in a bundle or a basket for some other token like DAI or WETH or even another bundle of assets. So if you'd like to experiment with creating bundles of assets, there's a little bit of a code snippet here. But I'll also advise to take a look at our 0x starter project, which is just loading now, which has a full walkthrough example of how to do this, as well as a walkthrough on basically how to fill ERC20 orders, ERC721 orders, how to use basically most of the protocol itself. So that's creating bundles of tokens, which is definitely very neat. The other neat feature is creating a Dutch auction. So a Dutch auction is when the price of an asset changes over time. And this is supported in the marketplace today as well. So I'll go back to my example where I actually have some Cheeze Wizards here. And to enable the Dutch auction feature here, you simply enter the starting price and include an ending price. I wanted to start at 100 ETH and I wanted to end at 10 ETH. So over time, this value of this asset the price for this asset will decrease, and the person can snatch it up when they believe the asset is worth what they expect it to be worth. So this helps really kind of discover what this asset is worth, because we're not quite sure. Like, it's definitely not worth 100 ETH. It's probably worth more than 10 ETH, but I'm not quite sure yet. So let's set it on a decreasing price scale and see when the market is ready to kind of purchase it. So to get started with, using the Dutch auction, here's a small snippet, but there is a full walkthrough available in our 0x starter project as well. Now, one very important thing to note is the concept of stateful assets and how their value can change over time given their state. So for some NFTs like CryptoKitties and Cheeze Wizards, for example, as well, that the state might change and that may devalue the asset. So if my CryptoKitty has been bred, it's going to be worth less. If my Cheeze Wizard has got blue mold on it, it's going to be worth less. So if you list an asset on your marketplace and that state changes, because the token always exists in the user's wallet. There's no lockup, there's no deposit contracts. The tokens always exist in the user's wallet. So the user has the ability to modify the state of that asset over time when it's sitting on a marketplace. So many projects are now implementing a get fingerprint function, which returns a hash of like the state, the asset state. So you can check what the state is right now given the hash. And you can check, 0x can check during settlement what the state is now and what it should be, and reject or revert the trade if it doesn't match up anymore. So this is actually a new feature in 0x, and it got implemented recently through our 0x governance process. So the community came together and voted on allowing this to be implemented into the 0x protocol. Thankfully, it was accepted. So now people can trade and have these guarantees that the state of an asset won't change over time. So I believe this is almost on mainnet right now, but it's also already on testnets today. So you can start playing around with this on testnets. And there's a small example on how to achieve this with Cheeze Wizards. So you would get like the fingerprint of the asset. You would see what the value is right now. You would tell 0x how to actually call the fingerprint method, and then you would create a order that contains that call inside of it. If that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, please yell out at any time. Okay, cool. So one other feature we have as well is the concept of a buy widget. So let me just bring that up in a demo that everyone can play with. So 0x Instant is a easy to use and easy to integrate buy widget that allows you to buy either ERC20 tokens with WETH or with ETH, or NFTs with ETH. And it's quite easy to get up and running. It's about 10 lines of code here for the ERC20 example. And if you want to check out the Cheeze wizard example we have here, so if you would like to buy my Cheeze wizard for 10 ETH, you can go for it. I do not have enough ETH to do that. But it allows you to easily embed this on your website, and also enables the embedder to collect affiliate fee on top of this as well. So this order is actually being pulled from the same marketplace over here. So it's all kind of, integrated well together. And I guess, we've got plenty of time here, so I'd like to kind of talk to you about the magic that is 0x Mesh. So you can run 0x Mesh in a Docker container as well, and it works well with LaunchKit 0.2.0, which is coming out very soon. And this is the peer-to-peer network that allows you to share orders with each other and discover orders from each other in a very fast and efficient way. So this is going to be extremely magic. And if you'd like to test it out, head over to the 0x project/0x Mesh GitHub page, and definitely give it a run. In the bottom of the notes of this workshop, we kind of talk about Mesh and like the two backends that we just went through earlier. But there's also like a full Docker Compose YAML file to get you up and running with LaunchKit plus Mesh over HTTPS, so you can kind of get up and running today with the production ready website. And that's what we were using in the earlier demo for the marketplace, the one located here. So does anyone have any questions? Is there anything we'd like to kind of go over in more detail? We got the marketplace up and running. You can kind of play with it here. The wizard was much quicker than expected, so we have plenty of time.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Hey, can you just actually share with me the document that you kept showing, like the workshop document?
Oh, yes, yeah. For those who can't see it, it's this quick doc here. Did you get that in chat?
I got it, thank you.
So is anyone thinking of using 0x in their hackathon project, or would like to involve some sort of trading or transfer of Cheeze wizards?
Our team is actually trying to do something with 0x. We're still more in like a feasibility stage, and just sort of like we've created some documentation. But basically the idea that we have is to create a prediction market based on the outcome of any duel. And then also we're developing an algorithm that will try to analyze past duel history and make a prediction that will kind of, create the odds that are given in the UI for the predictions market.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's a little large in scope, so got to see what we can do.
And are you building that prediction market, the contracts and the shares, all by yourself? Or are you using something that already exists out there, like Augur, to kind of create it?
Yeah, the idea is to use Augur and the open source code from Veil that uses Augur and 0x. So to sort of adopt that to our model. And then we just got to figure out how we're going to launch each marketplace every time a duel gets created. That's kind of what we need to think about as well.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Hey, Jacob, looks like there's a question in the chat from Christian.
Hey, Christian, yes, ERC 1155 was accepted. It's currently not supported in LaunchKit at the moment. It just requires a few tweaks. So LaunchKit currently only really supports ERC 721s, but that's not like a hard requirement. It would just require a few little tweaks and changes in the back end, sorry, in the front end part of LaunchKit. Shouldn't be too difficult, but you just kind of need to change the way the orders are encoded, because right now it just assumes everything is 721. And it also uses OpenSea to pull some of the metadata about these NFTs. So I'm not quite sure where OpenSea's support for 1155 is at the moment, but it will definitely work a lot better if OpenSea is supporting that today. I think we might have a 1155 example available in our starter project, but if not, we can follow up on that.
Hey, can you hear
Hey,
me?
how you doing?
Yeah, good. So I just wanted to ask, like, I'm thinking about like using the 0x extension thing, like, and I wanted to ask you about like transferring of power thing for the Cheeze user. So I wanted to know if it's possible, like, to close orders, like, so I need to use like the NFT token to transfer power, but I want to do it in extension. So the way that I would create orders, transfer power, and like keep NFT tokens as for the owners, so without exchanging them, if it's
So,
possible. I was looking at like the 0x extension for Dutch auction, and then it's calling like the exchange method itself, like, so that we exchange the orders. Otherwise, like, I cannot do it, like, yeah, I'm not exchanging orders and I'm not matching the order itself.
yeah, so the Dutch auction is really only there to ensure some logic is correct, and that's basically the price given the current time is the appropriate price. So that particular extension doesn't have any power to modify assets or transfer assets or change any assets. All it can do is check the logic of the two assets being traded and either reject it or allow it to go through. So that particular extension can't do anything with any assets. So how are you thinking about implementing your idea?
I just need to have like an option to call a function on the NFT. So I need to create an order between two NFT tokens. So like one person is like creating an offer that is selling some energy, some power, and I'm buying that power. So I guess I need to use like ERC-71 a logic to propose an offer and like to accept an offer, but then I don't need like as far as I understand, like I can transfer power, but then like I don't have any possibility like to accept an order without exchanging this token. So I wanted to know like if it's possible like that I'm closing an order without exchanging this NFT token or not.
So do you want it to be on chain? So it's via a contract, right?
Yeah.
And you just want to post an order.
Sorry?
And you wanted to just post an order? Did you say?
I need to feel this order like I don't get it.
So you're transferring power around between these cheese wizards?
Yeah. I just need to call like a method on the contract, and I don't need like to exchange the tokens itself.
But you need to have ownership over the two cheese wizards to be able to do that transfer of power?
Yes.
So it sounds like you need to somehow get the assets into that contract, transfer the power around, and then...
Oh, just like I can approve the smart contract that is exchanging power, the ability to transfer it, yeah? Then it's doing exchange, but I don't need like to flip the tokens itself, but I need like to have an order field, yeah? Just to keep like the track records and to keep order history and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so you're just, what are you doing with the two assets at the end of the day? So you're transferring power to one and then you're just returning them to the owner?
Yeah, it just like stays at the owner, yeah, like owner keeps the token, but I just need like to transfer the power from one wizard to another one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you necessarily need to use 0x here because it doesn't really involve like two different people exchanging any of the assets. It's kind of just sounds like one person is transferring power safely between their two assets, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or you're selling the power to somebody else.
Yes, you're actually selling the power to somebody else. So like you can be bidding like the amount of power you are having like for the specific amount of ether that you want.
Got it. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Let me think about that for a second. So obviously there is some exchange happening here. Like this person is selling that power transfer for some funds. So it sounds like, using 0x to enable that safely is a pretty good idea here. But it would just require some additional work after the exchange has been completed. Like potentially you will get the funds into the contract. The contract then basically fills the order, has access to both of the tokens, then can do the power transfer and then send back the upgraded cheese wizard to the end user, and then potentially the depleted cheese wizard back to the other counterparty.
So I was just like looking at the contract of the like extension of the Dash exchange. So like it was like some project happening like with the matchmaking, and then it was like calling like the super function of the 0x contract like to fulfill their order. Yeah. So I'm just, like, I just don't want like the basic idea that I could do like, okay, so I'm like offering like to sell some power, then like another person is accepting it, and then like if I'm calling like the super method of the matchmaking, it is supposed like to change the tokens, like NFT tokens, that I don't want to happen.
Yeah.
But I want like to have the record in the history, like in the order history, that the contract, the order was fulfilled, and like the exchange happened. So I'm wondering like possible to do or or not?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And I would like look at one of the other extension contracts we have. So there's one called the forwarder contract. And that does, that has some analogies to what you're trying to achieve, where there's this contract, it gets some funds, it is able to execute a trade, it has the assets, it can modify the assets now, and then it can send the assets to different people. So that's what the forwarder does today, whereas the Dutch auction just basically validates some logic and calls match orders, which isn't that useful because you can never really get in the middle of the trade and modify the assets or anything like that. But the exchange forwarder contract, which powers 0x Instant, is a contract where it gets funds from the user, it fills an order, it has those funds, it can make some modifications, it can then send the funds around to anyone else and like extract fees and affiliate fees and stuff like that. So we'll definitely check out the forwarder exchange contract, because that will be doing some more interesting work than the Dutch auction extension. So I put that link for you in chat if you want to check it out.
Cool. It looks like we're closing in on 40 minutes here. Are there any other outstanding questions that you guys have for Jacob? All right, Jacob, thank you so much for your time today. This was a great presentation and super helpful. Where can all of these participants find out more about you, 0x, and stay up to date on everything?
So yeah, you can check out 0x.org, which has got everything about 0x, all of our products. We also have a YouTube channel where we have videos where you can follow along with us and learn about 0x and kind of what's going on. So definitely check out 0x.org, and like a lot of the links will be there. You can reach out to us on Discord. We're very, very always in Discord, sorry. So if you have any follow-up questions or want to just talk about anything, then just reach out there. And be sure to check out the Quick Doc, which contains a bunch more information, and we can update some more links and stuff in there. Oh, thanks, Brent, in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you again, and yeah, thanks for everyone for showing up.
Thanks, everyone.
Can I actually just slip in with a last-minute question?
Yeah, sure.
I just wondered, have you encountered other versions? Like, obviously, there is the Veil Medium articles and GitHub, which walk through, building a prediction market with 0x and Augur. I'm just wondering if you have encountered other types of prediction-based markets, betting on futures, that use the 0x protocol that I could maybe look into.
None of them are really using it today.
Okay.
So there's nothing I can really show you today that would help, but check back in a couple of months, but it's probably going to be too late. But
yeah,
there are.
Okay, so there's some ideas brewing, but no food on the table.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, no problem. Okay, well, thank you for the informative meeting.
Thank you for joining.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.